Oh no, I didn't. I clicked. So this is what happened. I clicked start recording and it didn't change. So I said I fucked up, and as soon as I said that, it's okay. Hello, welcome to the Table Throw Show, a weekly Dungeons and Dragons thing from 8 till 9. Um, where yep, oh I fucked up. I'm the Dungeon Master, and oh I fucked up. I'm joined by my wonderful players who are playing an absolutely marvelous party. We're all having a fun time, and we're going to get into some Dungeons and Dragons. People, there is a recap to do. I have the recap written down, and I shall read it on to you because it was 2 weeks ago that we last literally 2 weeks ago that we last played. So let's get this shouted out. I don't have Roll20 open, that's a problem, but I will do it after I've done the recap. So I am prepared. I'm very frazzled. My hair shows that. So, in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, the party, flung through time and on a foreign land, found themselves escorted across the palace gardens by a stranger in what looked like a mage robes. The stranger would guide them through the grove to an accumulation of magnificent buildings built from quartz, different marbles and sandstones, and a central building, this main building, flanked by two great towers, grew closer as the party approached. They would enter through a huge kind of double door and walking across a sandstone and marbled floor to a main staircase, very ornate, fashionable staircase, where another door, too many doors, would lead them to a large, dark, circular room. A half crescent table, kind of a semicircle almost, would be ahead of them, with 12 chairs representing the silhouette of the Great Council of the 12 Mages, also known as the 12. Great name. I call Tech, if you remember him. He was the guy in the mage robes. Introduced you to all of the 12 members, including himself, with their names, and basically showed you. He would ask you for aid. I've lost where I'm reading from. This is a great start. To help him secure his position in the council. An investigation, specifically. In fact, it was two investigations. It was the Mad Clerics of Helios, who you've had a little bit of contact with before, and magic that had penetrated an impenetrable, with semi-quotations around it, barrier. Excepting, Icol had the party escorted to a library, where there would be various searching through books. Some people would find some interesting books. And you wouldn't find too much, not even the actual researcher whom you were sent there to find, kind of the assistant to the 12. Yes. And before we quite finished the session, there was a loud crash, and that's kind of where we left it off. So as we go back into the world again, everyone's kind of looking through books, I don't want to say chilling out, but you're looking through books, and you hear this quite loud crash. It's a very kind of clattery crash. It's kind of one main thud and then several other smaller thuds, if you would. Like someone and various objects have fallen simultaneously. Awesome. So, the party, as you guys kind of go... first off, can people who are proficient in perception kind of roll to see if you can find it? It's basically for the sake of time, when you get there. So that's anyone who's proficient in perception. Could you please roll me a perception check? So immediately, your very strange party member, Rogue Athena, is the first one to kind of hear it out, and she follows along these several aisles of bookshelves, rows and rows stacked super high. It's almost dizzying with how high they get. You guys realize as you were looking through books. Athena kind of turns one corner and there is a small silhouette there. On investigation, you kind of see that it looks like what almost looks a wood elf, and you see that there's a ladder which has kind of been tilted a little bit, and there are books kind of dotted about. So it's about 20 feet in front of you. So as you start to approach, he notices she's wearing these thick circular glasses. Immediately as you see, and she kind of looks shocked for a second. They're wireframe, very thin frame wise, but they're quite thick and circular. I assume everyone else follows with Athena. Superb. So as you kind of come over, oh god, that was the wrong sound. Never mind. As you kind of go over, she starts to pick up books. Clearly. The Noma Sutra, that's a classic. Right. As you kind of look at her, this wood elf, she's possibly 5 feet tall, very kind of light build. She's kind of picking up different books. She's a little embarrassed of some of them, it seems, and seems to be putting them at the bottom. Okay, immediately, make a perception check. 18. So interestingly enough, the books she seems to be embarrassed about, and Athena, you notice this too. She sees you have certain books seem to be books by a specific author, and it's a name you recognize. It's Elora Vyseum, who was actually the first head of the 12 mages of the group named the 12. It's so strange not having music. Yes, essentially, and you kind of get that aspect. As she kind of puts them away, she quickly puts them on a pile, changes the ladder so it's no longer tilted. You notice that immediately the ladder kind of has this, I don't know how to explain it, almost like a bar, which it slides across, and you can just climb up. Essentially, it makes it easier and more stable. And what had happened is one of the hooks had kind of gotten loose, and thus the ladder had tilted when she put weight on a certain side of it. And so yes, you are now here with this this person who's stranged out, made a weird noise, and seems very confused. She seems to want to start a conversation, but doesn't really know where to go. I consider myself a book lady, yes. Hello, I'm Shirleyana. Most people call me Shirley, though. Why are you in my library? Oh, and she goes to Athena. Can I have my books back, please? Hello? Can I have my books back, please? Okay. Oh, thank you for picking them up. Yes, I am Shelleyana, Shelleyana, call me Shelley, and, yes. Why are you here? Thank you, and why are you here? Thank you. Research on what? And also feel free. We have many books, many great books. I don't know how the palace affords so many books, but I love it here. It's wonderful. I read all the books here, of course, all of them. I order them. I am the chief researcher and reader of books. I read books. Oh, it's nice to see someone else who reads. I would be happy to direct you to some books, providing that I have read them, otherwise I do not know which order they are in. It's quite a big library, you see, and I do not have many hours in the day, roughly only the amount of hours in a day. Maths was never my strong suit. What are you looking for, specifically? Anything interesting? Uh, so, Uh, Anything the 12 asks me to research, I will. I wouldn't say I'm a scholar. I don't produce experiments to have research. I just read research other scholars have written down. I tried. I did, and I've sent my book to Elora, and she is to read it. Mistress Vyseum. I've sent my book to Mistress Vyseum, and she is to read it. I gave it to Icall to give to her, and I don't know if she's got it yet, but I hope so. I'm really quite proud of it. Mm. I've she blushes a little bit. I've met her a few times. Yes. She doesn't have much time. I would like to say I hope she knows me. Uh, she goes silent for a minute. What books are you looking for? She tries to ignore you. What books are you looking for? I'm very busy, you see, and I would like to help you as quickly as I can. Oh, are you? I think I know what you're for. As I call ask you to investigate them. I can help. I don't need books. Do you want books? I can. I actually have two books I can think of which will help you, and then I'll give you a quick rundown. Wait. If did he only send you for the clerics, or is there anything else you wanted? Um, Ah, I see. I thought so. I imagine it'd be easier to take one of these at a time. If you'd like to do both, I would suggest doing one before the other, if you know what I'm saying. I'm essentially saying that I can give you two books, and I don't want to give you four books. I would rather give you two, mainly because I've only read one of them each. Um, I've. I would much prefer. Okay then. Okay. So as you kind of the barrier, right? Give me just one moment. I've got to find the second book. Where would I leave it? Probably on top of the book. Okay. So as you can probably tell, I did not have a graceful descent from the ladder. If it happens again, I would like one of you to catch me, and if you do not catch me, I will be disappointed. Um, so yes, okay. She kind of eagerly awaits you. The book is just on top of the bookshelf. It's about 20 feet up from the ladder. You should be okay. I see. I will be very excited to witness this. In fact, I shall write it down. She pulls out a little notepad. I will do my own sketches in my own time. Athena, proceed to make a athletics check. You can't really tell. She looks quite young, especially for a wood elf. So Athena, as you're kind of climbing the ladder, you notice that every time you put weight on a certain part of the ladder, specifically the left, there's almost movement, like a swinging to the ladder, like a very kind of disturbing one. As you're kind of 10 feet up, the ladder just completely swoops sideways from underneath you, from you kind of pressing down upon it. Make a dexterity saving throw. Oh. So, right, instead of this throwing you off, you actually managed to catch kind of the ladder that's swinging underneath you, continue climbing up on it, onto it, and essentially instead of using the ladder, you're now using the shelves of the bookshelf itself, kind of climbing up. As you place your hand up on the top of the bookshelf, there is a book, and it's the one that she seemed to describe. And you grab it. It's a simple climb. You guys are all kind of stunned because it looks like Athena was struggling with climbing the ladder, but as soon as that's out the way, she seems better. Superb, I see. My new tactic when climbing the ladder is to throw the ladder sideways, carry its momentum with me so I can hurl myself upwards. Bravo, superb, I do say. You're still up. You kind of say this as you climb down. This is okay. So that is the book. That's your first book, and that book will talk about kind of the magic of the barrier itself. I recommend someone who's good with magic and stuff like that should read it, because it's okay. That's a good choice. Secondly, right, the other book. I have it here. It's at the bottom. Oh, it's one of it. Okay. This is Mistress Lyceum's book on the magical barrier and how it's powered and the possible weaknesses of it. She speaks of mainly three. I can't quite remember them. I know one of them was bugger it, I can't remember. Anyway, here's the other book. Feel free to look through it. If you're going to do the magic in the city stuff, there are sailors from Enadane, as in the place, the other continent. It's interesting. Very wonderful people there. And there was a captain, I think she was called Kara, a wild halfling. She's crazy. She terrifies me. Anyway. I must admit, she's quite beautiful. However, well, it seems like you know her. So I'm sure you know about the word of Bartholomew, her brother. Um, okay. He was killed by one of the clerics that have been supposedly gone mad. Um, it seemed like a random attack, and they found him dead in an alleyway. She now has inherited his title, at least. She flies the airship, but she seemed a bit different after it. Is that so? I should write that down. I need to correct all these books! She immediately starts writing that down. I've read through several books on the Navy, and they all call it boats and craft. I must say, that is superb. Anyway, if you would like to know more, about him, yes. Most of them have been detained in Grand Haven Asylum. Um, it's unruly how ridiculous their behaviour is, I must say. They're on watch constantly. They're practically prisoners there. The only reason they've been taken away is because of their danger to everyone else. Um, you shouldn't worry about that for now. You're supposed to be investigating. Grand Haven. It's basically in the neutral zone near Lake Ares. You're very much welcome. That's between Katara and Epity, by the way. If you've never been there, I'm sure you could ask for directions. You're welcome. You're very much welcome. But unfortunately, it's very kind of strange how it happened. If you would like to know more, you'll have to see the Lord of the Guards, a man named Palon Velt. He Velt, yes. He will know more. Yes, as in that kind of Palon. Make a history check, Pav. Did you say that out loud? Okay, okay. So, you can roll a history check too, Tia. um, you really don't have a clue, and in fact, yes, Palon was the father of Solus. Um, I wouldn't say it's a common name. Perhaps maybe I imagine that you're travelers. It's very rare that citizens of Katara are dressed so wonderfully. I must say, I like your apparel, all of you. She kind of looks at you for a minute here and goes, I like your apparel." Anyway, moving on. So yes, the Lord of the Guards. He spends most of his times in the barracks, which is in the residential district, kind of recruiting and kind of training soldiers. Other than that, I'm not really sure. Well, yes, I think I saw him a few weeks ago, maybe. I don't leave the library very often, I'm afraid. I'd, I'd, you get a glance. Every single. Okie dokie. Please let me know which one you would like to actually go down. If you would like to do the clerics or the thing. I know you decided already, but I would rather have all like as many books as I can here, just in case I need them. There has been times where I've let people take too many books and they haven't come back with them until very long, and I've needed them then, and it's been very frustrating. Anyway, yes, you may discuss. I will go find some more books. He turns around, kind of a spin on the heel, and starts walking away. She's very kind of light build. It's not significant. No significant ass on this individual. Yes. Oh, with her. All right. So the group are huddling. Athena. As you kind of catch up, she kind of sees you and goes, "Oh my, you're the climber. Hello." Oh, I have. She kind of looks at it for a second and goes, "I, I actually haven't read that one yet. Hmm. I don't have any books which are. I can't decipher it. I must not know it myself, and I know a lot of languages. I tell you what. If you give it to me, I will have Miss Vyseum, Mistress Vyseum. Pardon me. I'll have her go through it and translate it if you would like." Oh, yes, very well. She kind of writes it down on the note. Is there anything else, or why are your friends gathered close together? You guys are kind of discussing. Start your discussion now, basically. Uh, Uh, essentially, like that happened, and you gathered about 20 seconds of discussion before Athena kind of wanders over. Athena now joins the conversation. They're very nice pictures. A tear storms away. He was in the barracks in. Okay. So he's in the barracks in the residential zone, and the clerics are in a asylum called Grand Haven Asylum at the river areas, or the lake areas. You, yeah, yeah. I mean, Pav. We'll say that Pav hasn't, but Jim has. Awesome. So, Tara, the blue candle. Yeah. No, you've never met Tara. Oh, sorry, you have met Tara, but you haven't met Tara, the blue candle Tara. You've met friendly Scottish bloke in a tavern Tara. Leo, the racist commander. Uh, you guys as you kind of are having this conversation, walking out, Athena notices that the two guards look at each other with a very kind of furrowed, confused expression as you guys begin descending down the palace stairs and walking towards the door. Okay, okay. Um, we'll say that's something you do during the kind of travel to the barracks. You see like a courier service. So as you guys kind of leave the palace grounds, go into the grove, you begin heading to the residential district after teleporting down to the base level. You see that most of the mess has been kind of cleaned up. There's no longer like smoke clouds going off into the air, and you guys begin to walk to the residential district in the north. We're back in Katara. I need to make that evident on the thingy-majiggy. Boom. So, the green zone, or the residential district, which is technically south. I've realised this map is upside down and that bothers me. Anyway, the green zone, the residential district. You guys kind of walk through it, and finding the barracks is difficult. Could everyone who is, I want to say, everyone who's got a modifier of at least +2 in intelligence, make an intelligence check. See if you can find. Yes. Okie dokie. um. Uh. But that's still reading. Uh, with this intrigue into Pav's knowledge of literature and reading, you kind of begin to track down password maybe. You begin to track down where you think it would be. Chim, you're kind of going off of, you're kind of following the guards in a creepy way. In your head, you're kind of saying, he's going over there, so maybe it's over there. Or maybe I should follow him. And versus Tia, who's like, well, the guards are probably that building with the flags on it. It's less about that and more that you're kind of using your intelligence to figure out, well, the guards seem to be coming from this area, and this building looks like it could be a barracks. Because this is a strange landscape, you've got to bear in mind. So, yeah. Usually barracks in your cities are actually outside of the cities or in a smaller village somewhere around there. Oh, wow, I didn't expect this. Because I honestly don't have a place for it. It's just in that zone. Alright. We'll say that it is. Yes. We'll say that. Uh, yeah. So it's kind of in this. Even though it is still in the city, it's in this quite open area. For all those who, I mean, stream-wise, essentially it's the clearing on the right side. It's up at the against the wall on the clearing on the right side. Interpret that as you wish, because I probably won't remember it. It's yes, essentially it's kind of this open space you kind of wander over. Some dust from sandstorms and the wind has kind of blown sand onto the floor around this area. Very open. You see that it's almost like a miniature garden, like a little oasis. And then there is the barracks building. And guards are coming to and fro, standing outside of it. The flag you see is a black flag with a even darker kind of stripe with a white eye upon it. And kind of going up to it, the guards don't seem too surprised, but you actually see one of the guards whom you talked to a year ago. He's now grown a goatee and is kind of sitting there and looks at you all again as you kind of walk through. and doesn't seem to pay any mind. It seems like the barracks here. I say walk through, walk up to it. It seems like the barracks here are kind of casual. You do see that there are kind of children playing in the oasis nearby. It seems to be here just in case there's any accidents with the actual oasis and any problems like that. So yes, you head up to the front of the building. What would you like to do? Okay. So you don't really find a fancy armor per se. They're all wearing this quite rich armor, but you do find an individual who is a little similar, wearing this very kind of Greek hoplite helmet, this chest plate, which is actually quite simple in design, just the rough anatomy of a male torso, and he's kind of standing there, and you see that he's got a bandage nursing a wound. As you approach him, he recognizes you, and this is one of the guys who was injured while you were fighting and a lady essentially took his commanding position to try guide the troops. So you didn't actually have a conversation with him, but he's that gentleman. So yeah, as you kind of approach, hail, he kind of lifts his spear up. You seek to speak an audience with Balon, or you seek to have? Would you like to come inside? Is this a matter of privacy, business? I must know, if you would please. When it comes to privacy, I hope you understand that if you would like a personal meeting, guards must be present to alleviate any corruption in the city or any problems like that. Okay, then I will escort you myself. He's kind of looking around for a soldier. Ro, come. A kind of young soldier with this kind of, I want to say, you probably say half elf maybe, quite heavily tanned with a dark ponytail shaved at the sides, kind of wanders over and help me have an audience with Palon. He kind of nods and he begins to lead you into the barracks. This sandstone building, kind of with these pillars. It's very kind of open and airy. There are different flags on it, different fabrics. It's quite colourful, to be fair. It looks quite an expensive building. Entering, there just seems to be like troop quarters, weapon rooms, and in the corner there's a thick door made of quite a nice looking wood. Him and Ro guide you over to it, and there is a knock on the door, and there is a wait of about 2 minutes. And as you wait for 2 minutes, the door then opens, and he nods. They both walk in, and you guys are expected to follow. Superb. Entering the room, there is all kind of different various ornate things on the walls, different kind of drawings, artworks, trinkets are laid across desks and bookshelves. And looking towards behind a desk, the same wood as the door. I'm not going to name it because, yeah, the same wood as the door. And there, sitting in a chair, is a human male. Again, quite dark-skinned. Sleeveless chest piece. This one seems to be made of some magically enchanted metal, like mithril. Or something like that. It's kind of silver in colour. Looking at him, you see that there's quite these long black dreadlocks, quite long hair, and he's got various scars all over his arms, and they're visible. They're extremely visible. They look pretty brutal, to be honest. As you kind of enter, he's smiling, and he's got quite a friendly smile. Quite an aged smile, probably about 40 years old, but it's friendly. Yes, there is a window behind his desk, kind of. Again, it seems quite like a friendly place for a barracks. It's not excessive. But yeah, as you kind of enter, He smiles. Greetings. Definitely not. No. He was more like Hispanic, whereas this is more like of kind of African descent, Caribbean descent, that kind of thing. Eye contact. Of course I can help you. What kind of things would you like me to help you with? Anything specific? Well, if you're after the magical barrier, then that's not too easy for me to explain. I'm not very magicy, but I could try help you. And if you're after, the Grand Haven Asylum, I could also help you with that too. You'd need some kind of note from me to get in there, but it's easier if you do one or the other. I don't mind which. Someone's having a boxing match with a microphone. Yeah, I wrote that. Indeed. If you want to investigate the clerics, I must warn you that they're not. That's the perfect word for it. Clearly an intellectual, much more than myself, but his smile kind of fades away into a more serious expression for a moment. I would seriously worry about your health if you would wish to try and investigate the clerics. They're not safe, and thus it would be dangerous to do. Um, the information we have so far leads off mainly that they seem to have some kind of purpose to do what they're doing, and I do not have a clue what it is, uh, but it is there. And because of this, I think that there's something divine, or rather hellish, going on with this. They talk like madmen. They attack people in the streets. They steal things and have no justification for what they are stealing. I cannot describe to you perfectly. You must see the behavior for yourself. One of the clerics recently had committed suicide, I would say. He set himself on fire and was screaming some disturbing things from what I heard. I did not want to read the file. I do not like to hear of men not only killing themselves, but it's not easy for me. I like to keep people safe rather than. I must I must agree with you, and um, I will give you access to that when you go to Grand Haven Asylum. I would warn you though, when you go there, the men that guard are not our men, they are men from Epity, the army there, kind of a city-state, if you would, a main city with little villages around. They're friendly and they have allied with us, so you no worry about it. It's fine. Just give me a moment and I will do you a seal. Is there anything else you would like to know? He immediately kind of pulls out this kind of stamp, this wax, and begins to put it on a writ of paper. I would say about a year maybe, but that's not 100% accurate. We didn't keep track of it at first. Lunacy is something which can be caused by alcohol or such. It was only when the brother of I want to say a merchant, but the owner of a vessel, I believe her name was Kara. It was only when her brother was killed that we really found anything out. Speaking of which, she knows more about that. She's usually at the Northern Docks if you're interested. But other than that, there's nothing more I can really help you in that regard. Okay. The Grand Haven is about maybe a few days travel at most. It's probably a day's travel and then two to if you want to go to a PT. So probably about half the journey to a PT. Not a rough road. Can be dangerous. Probably best. All right. So thank you too. It's nice to have guests. My name is Pelon, as I'm sure you already know. Uh, I mean, it does not matter if it's common. It's what my mother calls me. Oh, that's not. I suppose it's not weird. Pelon's usually a name kept by sun keepers or ex worshippers of Helios temples. But it kind of became a little bit more common in the later periods. It's just a cultural thing, you know? Superb. Uh, I hope be safe. Can I have a name to write this down in? He kind of signs it and is essentially asking you just before he hands you the if you want any kind of specific reference to you as individual, a group of individuals. I'm not saying name of the party, just like just put it in like an individual's name. It's fine. Um, yeah. So it's a very fancily written for us as well. It's to put it into context. His handwriting seems like for his name seems really bland, but for yours it seems like he was being respectful. Um, and then he kind of seals it up. He hands it to. He kind of places it out. Who's taking it? as Athena and like Tia kind of look at each other. Chim's already got it in her hands. Um, and you're kind of escorted out, and the commander guard kind of gives you a nod. Um, and as you guys kind of begin walking, you begin walking to where was it next? Okay, so you begin walking back to the council, and we will end this session here. Um, so yes, if you watch this, thank you for watching. If you watch this live, then you can find us on YouTube. If you watch this on YouTube, you can find us live. And Yes, essentially. Thank you very, very much. This is episode something or other, and uh, it's been very fun. I hope everyone enjoyed the session. So our usual fashion is to get Jacob to say the catchphrase, but he's ill. So what's the catchphrase, Jacob? Throw those tables. Have a Merry Christmas. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.